After a 2-week absence from the country, President Bola Tinubu returned to Abuja early today, where he was greeted by top government officials. Tinubu's diplomatic journey commenced with an official visit to the Kingdom of Netherlands on April 23 at the invitation of Prime Minister Mark Rutte. During his time in the Netherlands, Tinubu held discussions with prominent Dutch officials, including separate meetings with King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima. Additionally, he participated in the Nigerian-Dutch Business and Investment Forum. Following his engagement in the Netherlands, the president attended a special World Economic Forum meeting in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, from April 28 to 29. The forum themed global collaboration, growth, and energy for development, convened leaders to strategize on development. However, after the conclusion of the summit on April 29th, the president's whereabouts remained undisclosed, with the presidency providing no information while speculation arose regarding a potential private visit to Europe following his time in Saudi Arabia. All right, so where is the president? We now know where he is. He is in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, capital of Nigeria and its seat of power. Before your take on this, welcome back, Mr. President.
Okay, so welcome back. We can use the words like we say in Nigerian parlance, daddy or yo-yo. But I think to a large extent, this is a sad reminder that our government does not take its citizens seriously. A president can just elope like that into thin air. The president of a sovereign. I mean, if President Tinubu was a private citizen, I have no problems with it. And this has always been the order of the day. It's not only President Tinubu. In fact, it's a culture. We had our fair share in the last administration. Now President Tinubu has gone that way. He just elopes, no accountability. If people were not asking, the presidency was not saying anything, all of a sudden, then Mr. Vayananduga releases triumphant tweet. He's going to be in the country, and the president comes back. So the question is, where did the president go? Who is going to give us accountability? How can we ensure? And for all those during this period that were arguing that the president can lead the country from every part of the world, that is no big deal. Why did he come back? Why didn't he stay on there? We can't continue to run the country this way. And that's why I would insist again, with due respect, candidates for presidential election should be allowed to submit their medical records. Let us know what we're dealing with. People fall sick. We had former American presidents that were on wheelchairs. It's not the end of the world. Let us know what we're dealing with, because we can't keep allowing people just go AWOL like that. We need total accountability. I know the argument on the part of some people will be, oh, you can't pry into a man's privacy. But when you become a president of a nation, you really lose pretty much the capacity of that privacy. Because now you're accountable to the people. And we had all of this ordeal during Yar'Adua's time, by the way, which made, I think, 14 years since it passed. So please, the presidency owes us an explanation. I will keep pressing. Where was the president all this time?
Right, keep pressing on, Dr. Abati.
Okay, look, we have been on this subject now for about 2 days. When the subject first came up on this table, I said what I heard was that the president was in London. Ojineka Okpe was saying, oh, she heard that he was in France. And I said, no, the president of Nigeria cannot disappear into a Bermuda Triangle. We need certainty. Look, when you become a president of Nigeria, you go to a public office, you are public property because the Nigerian people voted for you. You can't just go missing without permission, without explanation. That's the principle that we have tried to establish on this table. And we wanted Nigerians also, generally, wanted clarity as to the whereabouts of their president. Now, my good friend Daniel Bwala said the president could rule Nigeria from any part of the world. I said, no. He has a place of work. part of his social contract with the Nigerian people is that he has a place of work. And when he's leaving that place of work, that is why he has to explain to Nigerians within the province context of the principle of accountability to say, oh, this is where I am. So, and I engaged Daniel Boala later yesterday, and I told him, well, can the president rule Nigeria from Ukraine? Can he go to Gaza? Can he rule Nigeria from Afghanistan? We know that this is the age of technology. After all, we have had DHL governors in Nigeria. Governors who are permanently in Abuja or they are permanently somewhere else, and they are running their states from the diaspora. But Nigerians have consistently said, no, this is a full-time assignment, and you must be there. However, I think that the positive side of it is that the president has listened to Nigerians. One of the things they've done, they stopped the vice president from traveling in the absence of the president. Yesterday I said that is good. That story about technical fault to aircraft, I said no, that's cover story. Oh, we don't buy that. Two, the president has returned Nicodemously, because the statement by Mr. Ononuga issued a statement saying that the president is in London or that he's in Europe. I think he was specific. He said he was in London and that he will return today. But Nicodemously, the president returned. The president can move whenever he likes. You know, he has control of his own transportation. So I think that Nigerians will be happy that they have their president back. And all of that is consistent with the fact that the president of Nigeria is public property. Now, if people talk about privacy and all of that, that's not true. There's a principle in law that says voluntae non fit injuria. If you don't like heat, don't go near the kitchen. So the Nigerian people have just established that they have the right to know. There are two things in the theory of information. The need to know, the right to know. In this particular instance, we're dealing with the right to know. So those people who are saying the president of Nigeria, his movement cannot be disclosed for security reasons, that's absolute ignorance. The Nigerian people have the right to know. And that was why I quoted the example of a famous American book on the disappearance of a president. In this particular case, Grover Cleveland, who was president of America, who disappeared for about 3 days to go and do something about his tooth. Now, Matthew Argio wrote a book subsequently on the issue and said the president is a sick man. There has also been another book in the United States, I think it's The President is Missing. I think I mentioned that one yesterday, which is written by, I think, President Clinton and Patterson, but that's a novel, it's fiction, okay? And the book didn't particularly do well. But the basic book to reference is the Matthew Argio book, you know, The President is a Sick Man. The summum bonum, the summary of it all, is that, look, Nigerians have the right to know what is happening to their president all the time, where he is and all of that, because we used taxpayers' money to put him there. We voted. We put our energy into it, okay? Whether you are Labour Party or you are PDP or you are whatever, you have a right to say, where is my president? Now, that question has been answered now, and the president has returned Nicodemously, and we welcome him back. We are happy that he's back, and that this is not a pattern, or rather, this should not become a pattern for the Tinubu administration. When he's traveling, tell us. He's going to Netherlands. From Netherlands, he will go to Riyadh. He will return on this date. He cannot just disappear into space, as if the Bermuda Triangle has swallowed him up. And then when Nigerians begin to protest to say, where is our president, he suddenly shows up Nicodemously. No, this should be a lesson for the administration.
Absolutely. Very quickly, because, I mean, we've talked about the main thrust of this, which is accountability. And this is something that we have demanded, not just from this particular administration or president, but from previous administrations and presidents. And unfortunately, the previous, well, at least the last administration didn't do quite well when it comes to accountability, with sometimes extended periods out of the country without proper information or robust information as to the location or the status of the president. And this is what we're seeing here. So you could almost say that by coming from trauma, we don't want the same thing to happen with this particular administration. There's still questions to be asked. Yes, the president is back. Welcome, Mr. President. But where were you in the last few days? I do believe that Nigerians deserve to know. Has already been established. The people and the office of the citizen is the most powerful office in the land. We have the powers to make demands in terms of questioning the person whom at least majority of the people elected to be, to be president. At the end of the day, he's president to all, his leader. We have the right to demand accountability from our leaders, and no one should be shushed for doing that. In addition to this, may I suggest that the president, who during campaign season was quite media shy, you would recall that a number of times were called for debates with the president, conversations with the president, and this didn't quite work. We kept hearing from his surrogates, from his spokespeople, but not quite from the president himself. It's a few days to his 1 year in office. A lot of controversies surrounding the 1 year, including some policies that a number of people have frowned upon. Can we ask that the president holds either a town hall meeting, a media or press conference, or a sit-down interview to just discuss with the people who've elected him and whom he's accountable to about his first year in office and his plans perhaps for the next year and the next 3 years? I think that would be quite significant in this administration to do. And whether his handlers or his advisors can, prompt him to do this, I think it will be very, very key to this administration. We hear statements from his spokespeople. We also see statements being released by him, signed off by him. But we want to hear our leader speak. We want to engage our leader in conversation. We want to hear what his plans are, because it leaves a lot of things up in the air if we only hear from the third party and we see policies that a number of people are wondering what is really going on. Can we have a sit down with the president? Can we have a press meeting, a media conversation with the president? Can we have a town hall with the president? This is not too much to ask, and I think it would be a significant action on his part ahead of his 1 year in office to have a sit down, have a conversation, and speak to the Nigerian people who he leads, who he has the privilege of leading. Move on to our next story this morning. Day 2 of the Offshore Technology Conference marks a pivotal moment for Nigeria's oil and gas sector as the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, sets its sights on enticing both local and international players to partake in the 2024 oil bid round. At African Oil Industry Opportunity Session organized by Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, PTAN, the NUPRC CEO, Gbenga Komolafe, says Nigeria aims to increase its reserve base, maximizing production and boosting energy security. Our correspondent, Nkechi Nana, reports.
The Commission has issued a licensing round guideline and published a licensing round plan for the 12 blocks.
The atmosphere on day 2 at the Offshore Technology Conference, OTC, is charged with anticipation as Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, led by CEO Gbenga Komolafe, kickstarts the 2024 licensing round. Komolafe's vision is clear: to attract investments that will not only bolster Nigeria's oil and gas reserves, but also drive production to new heights.
Nigeria is endowed with 37.5 billion barrels of crude oil and condensate reserves and 209.6 TCF of natural gas reserves, representing about 30% and 33% respectively of the entire oil and gas reserves in Africa, aside an abundant mix of the renewable energy resources. It is towards the exploitation and optimization of these abundant hydrocarbon resources that Section 7 of the Petroleum Industry Act empowers the NUPRC as the industry regulator to conduct bidding rounds for the award of petroleum prospecting licenses and petroleum mining licenses pursuant to the Act and applicable regulations. It is on this premise that the federal government of Nigeria, through the Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, is pleased to announce the commencement of the 2024 licensing round at this global event for participation by international investors with financial and technical capacity.
These blocks are strategically positioned across various geopolitical zones, offering a spectrum of investment prospects.
This round introduces 12 meticulously selected blocks across diverse geological terrains, from the fertile onshore basins to the promising continental shelves and the untapped depths of our deep offshore territories.
Meanwhile, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, underscores the distinctiveness of this bid round, emphasizing the collaborative efforts between NUPRC and industry stakeholders.
So this bid round is different. This is a golden opportunity for us to sell, these beautiful blocks that we have to those who have proven capacity to be able to explore. This time around, we're not going to give somebody and allow you to go and sleep. We'll give you a timeline. And that is why, as a government, we have decided to reduce the entry barriers. Instead of asking you to pay, signature bonus of $200 million, we are reducing it to the barest minimum. If the upstream doesn't succeed, midstream and downstream will also fail. And that is why it is important that in this bid round, we get it right. And I've been working very closely with NUPRC. Those people who will benefit from this bid round are those who have money to be able to do exploration almost immediately.
Underpinning this venture is NUPRC's unwavering commitment to fostering an environment conducive to investment.
The NUPRC, on behalf of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is committed to conducting the license round in a fair, competitive, and transparent manner, and ensuring a level playing field for both indigenous and international investors. In addition, recognizing that the era of front-loaded huge signature bonuses is over, Nigeria, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, as the Honorable Minister of Petroleum Resources, has become a lot more proactive and pragmatic in ensuring that entry fees do not constitute a barrier to entry for investment in exploration blocks that are being offered. The 2024 licensing round is scheduled to last for approximately 9 months, and all interested parties are invited to visit the dedicated NUPRC portal for details of how to participate.
For Nigeria's 2024 bid licensing round, it's not merely a transactional endeavor. It's important to shaping Nigeria's energy sector. With 12 oil blocks up for grab, alongside 5 deep offshore assets, the opportunity window extends until January 2025, beaconing investors to delve into the country's rich petroleum sector. Nkechi Nana, Arise News, Houston, Texas.
Well, all in a bid to make the Nigerian energy sector investor-friendly, investor-attractive, and UPRC on that one.